Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our playthrough of what did we end up doing last week? I gotta double check now because I don't remember off the top of my head. I've been so busy with 1985 season ticket that I don't remember my own content schedule. Oh yes, we did America Bomber last week, so after our latest sortie in the America Bomber, we're back to our playthrough of Dragon Age tabletop role-playing game by Green Ronin Publishing. Our current story so far is we've got Adanna Brightmare, who's been looking for her mage trainer, but on our last time playing Dragon Age on the channel, she got attacked by a rabid dog and got beaten up pretty badly. The apothecary was able to heal her for a bit of damage, but we still have a ways to go in the mage tower. We finally managed to get there, so now we're going to see if we find if everything's going to play out as we expect it to tonight. So once again, we're using Mythic Game Master Emulator as essentially our oracle of sorts. So that's what we're going to be up to tonight. So the way Mythic works, for those of you who aren't familiar, is we'll start off with a scene, and then we'll interact with that scene via the fate chart. Let me bring this up toward the table. We'll interact with this via this fate chart, and I'll explain more about how this works. Our current chaos factor is a 5 that we're looking at. So the scene that I'm envisioning here is we're finally going to find the mage trainer tonight. Is that going to happen tonight? So we'll roll. If we're over the chaos factor, scene plays out as we expect. If we're under, the scene's going to be changed somehow. Even will be, I believe even's altered. Odd is interrupted if we're under the number. Let me just double check that. Scenes. Here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. So, yep. So if it's odd, the scene is altered in some way. Even, it's interrupted. So scene's going to play out as we expect it to, which means we should finally find our mage trainer tonight. Okay. So we know from the attack by the dog last time that the apothecary was able to heal a chunk of Adanna's health. So I think the first question we need to figure out is how many floors there are in this mage tower. And in order to do that, I think we're going to roll D3 for that. So 1 to 2, there's 1 floor. 3 to 4, 2 floors. 5 to 6, 3. So that's a 2, which means there's not much of a tower here, but we will find our mage trainer. Well, supposedly we'll find her tonight. We'll find our mage trainer tonight. So, as we venture into the tower, I'm actually going to go get my I'm going to go get the Solo Adventurers toolkit for D&D because I'm going to use that here as well to flesh out this dungeon. So bear with me while I grab that. In hindsight, in thinking about it, I probably should just print off the 6D12 method and use that to flesh this out. So we've got story hooks for that. We've got the keywords table in case I need that as well. Oh, I did have the 6D12 system. Okay. So I know I've got the 6D12s in here somewhere. 1, 2, 3. I'm actually going to get something separate ready here. 4. I was going to... Oh, here we go. I knew I had a bag of 6D12s. And now I'm just seeing what I've got for RPG dice because I'm going to need those for another project later on down the road. So now we're inside the So now we're inside the Mage Tower, which again, not much of a tower, but let's flesh this out, see what we've got in here. So we're looking at a standard room, essentially. Okay. So now we got our separate dice. We used this for D&D before. 4 on red says no monster, which I'm not surprised about. I wouldn't expect there to be one. Orange is, well, orange is no clue. Gold is 6 for no features. Teal, well, teal is, we're going to ignore the teal roll because we are expecting to find an NPC in here. Treasure, the black die is a 3, so no treasure. And the purple is no random event, so a rather mundane encounter, but an encounter that we were expecting. So Adanna is going to walk in nursing, I'd say, probably some broken ribs. And the mage trainer, and the apothecary walks in. We probably haven't met the apothecary yet either. The apothecary is a woman by the name of Sabrina Bryan Kalis. We finally have a chance to take in our apothecary companion. I'm surprised we didn't do this on the road. We see that she's got medium height with a wiry and somewhat hunched frame, like we'd think it's probably from an injury of some kind. Her hair is tied back in her usual loose braid, but we do see some tendrils around there. Pale skin has faint hint of salt, and, well, not surprising given that she's lived on the coast for a lot of years. Clothing seems to be practical, as we saw when we saw the supplies there that she had. Fingers were stained, not a surprise there. We could definitely smell the herbs and something briny as we were around and traveling. And looking at her eyes, they're a striking pale green, reflecting the natural world and sharp intellect. And we got the feeling for a pleasant travel companion with her. So now we take in our mage trainer. It turns out our mage trainer is female as well. As Sabrina introduces herself and greets Adanna warmly. Adanna, Sabrina greets. Adanna greets her companion. The two of them embrace each other as we finally get to take in the appearance of our mage trainer. And Adanna greets Sabrina warmly as well. Sabrina, so glad you came. Looks like you brought a companion. Actually, she turns to us. I guess the question here is, does Adanna recognize us? So let's roll a D100 for that. We're looking at a cast factor of a 5. I'll rebag these D12s as I, of course, send one falling. Where did my other D10 go? I'm looking for... there you are. Got hidden under my 6012 notes. So that's a 93 on the... Oh yeah, she definitely recognizes us. Immediately rushing over. Adanna, she calls to us. What happened to you? As we're wheezing, still, well, we probably have a few injuries here. Where Sabrina was able to heal what she could, but we're definitely still feeling the effects of that fight with the rabid dog. So, yeah. Adanna. I'm Ivana Orlin. You probably don't recognize me right now, but I'm the one who sent you that letter. So Sabrina's eyes are a little bit hazy. We look in at Adanna, or not, Ivana. These two names are too close together. I'm going to get them confused. A woman of medium height with a lithe but wiry frame. Auburn hair streaked with silver is usually pulled back in a tight braid, which we see here. It also falls over her shoulder. We see sharp cheekbones and bright green eyes that gleam with intelligence. Robes look to be a practical mix of gray and midnight blue fabrics, symbolizing the circle of magi. The sleeves of the robe are frayed at the cuffs, evidence of years spent working with her hands and not simply holding books. The staff of Darkwood is on her back, and we see the end of her staff pulsing with crystal energy. But clearly, Ivana's attention is not on us at the moment, or is not on that, as we're probably slipping in and out of consciousness given how much we've been busted up. So let's make a constitution check to see if we'll make it a difficulty of a... There's a list for difficulty. Oh, here we go. Let's make this a challenging test, given how badly we got banged up in that attack on the guard dog. Let's see, that's going to be a 7, 8, plus 3 is 11. So we actually managed to get out, yes, Ivana, before Adanna faints. Yes, but Adanna faints. So some time passes by on this. The question is how much time passes. We will say this was probably at... We'll say this was probably at about We'll say this was probably about 2 o'clock when we get to the tower. So we'll roll D10 hours for how much time has passed for the next scene. If we get above, let's say, 7 hours, we're probably just going to move to the next day. That's 9 hours. Okay, so yeah, we'll move to the rest of the day. We'll move to the next day. 9 hours later, which will be, so this would have been 2 p.m. So we faint, and we wake up the next day. So this is going to be scene 5 already, where we've discovered our mage trainer. Scene 5, meeting with Adanna. So the scene I'm expecting here, that was a very short scene as we met up with the mage trainer, but Adanna fainted before we could do much with the story. So scene 5 is going to be a kind of an initial training meeting, if you will. Maybe that's not the way I want to put it, but so like initial meeting to explain why we've been summoned. So the chaos factor right now is a 4. Let's see if the scene plays out as we expect it to. Oop, we only need the 1d10. We're rolling against the chaos factor of 4. No, that means we're going to have an altered scene of some kind. Yep. So that'll be an altered scene. The question now is, how is the scene going to be altered? So an initial meeting. The most likely alteration is that there's not going to be much time for training, is what I think. So let's roll some keywords and see if we can get an idea. So we're going to go to the keywords table from the Solo Adventurers toolbox as well, so I can roll up some keywords on how the scene is altered. So I need a D8 and a D100. And I'm going to take the D8 minus 1 as before. And so the 1 will be 0 to 99, and so on. If I roll an 8, I'll re-roll the roll. Actually, 8 would be a 7 if I do minus 1, right? Let's see, 0 to 99, 100 to 199, 200 to 299, 3 to 399, 4 to 499, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so never mind. No re-roll needed. Let's see, that would be a 668. 668 stray. $190. Argument. 302. Stray argument, midnight. Okay, I can probably work with this. So, turns out we were moving to the next day, but we're actually going to start this scene a little bit earlier. Where at midnight, it turns out that Adanna's having problems sleeping because she can. Well, there's definitely something loud enough going on. There's something loud going on in the mage tower as Adanna's trying to rest after fainting, almost like she's come to. So the next question I want to put here is, by midnight, by the time Adanna gets interrupted, has she healed to full? Given that we've had 8 hours of rest, I'm going to call this a likely that Adanna would have healed to full with 8 hours of rest. So let's see where we go with that. Let's see, that's a 78 on a likely, so yes, Adanna has healed to full. That'll bring her back up to 24 health. Okay. So we hear something loud in bed as we're laying in bed trying to get some rest. Now the question now what I want to know is, can Adanna hear what's going on? So this is going to be a perception check. Actually, perception. Yes, I'm going to roll perception for this. We're going to roll a perception check. And I'm going to say, how loud are the voices is the question. Given that there's only one floor on this tower, it's probably we're going to call this a challenging roll. So Adanna might be able to hear what's going on here. That's a 12 plus 2 is 14, which means Adanna passes on a challenging roll. So Adanna is realizing that she can hear raised voices out in, I guess, the foyer, or no, maybe not the foyer, maybe in the main room, as Sabrina's telling Ivana about the stray wild dog that attacked their caravan, and Sabrina is rather upset with Ivana that they don't have the supplies here to heal Adanna, but there's nothing that can be done here. So they're trying to figure out what to do about the stray dog that attacked. They figure maybe something else happened there. But so the question is, are we going to step out? I think we're going to sit tight, see if we can learn more about this from whatever's going on in there. So we'll roll another perception check to see. So we recognize the sounds of the argument. Recognize the sounds of the argument. Can we hear what they're arguing about? Given that we can already hear the argument, now we're kind of starting to tune in on this. So now I'm going to make it an average roll. Can we hear what they're arguing about? I'm going to make this an average roll, given that we're now listening in and starting to concentrate on what the argument is. And we know they're arguing at this point. So now we're going to try to listen in more carefully, see if we can hear what they're arguing about. That'll be another perception, this time at an average roll. Actually, we'll probably also now pull the door slowly open, trying not to make a sound. I guess that's maybe something else we should roll. Should we roll a... what check would I want to roll here? in order to see if we... What check would I want to roll here in order to keep the door somewhat, in order to kind of keep the door quiet? My initial thought is that sounds like a dexterity check. Let me see what the book suggests. Maybe they've got an idea on what we should roll here. Focuses, talents, probably the ability test, maybe. Let's see, 46. An ability test. Still doesn't tell me exactly what the abilities are. So we're going to... Might be in character creation as well. Defense and speed, goals and ties. How about abilities and ability foci? Here we go. Encompasses agility, hand-eye coordination, and quickness. So I guess dexterity probably is what we're going to want to roll here. So we'll make a dexterity check. To open door quietly. This is probably going to be a fairly short stream, as right now I want to get a little bit more of a story direction on where I want things to go at this point. So this may end up being another fairly short Dragon Age stream, but like I said, just looking for a little story direction here on where I want to go with this. So it's a dex check to open the door quietly. I want to try not to make any noise because I don't want them to know yet that I'm awake. I don't want Adanna and Sabrina to know that I'm awake. So we're going to make this at a challenging difficulty. Let's see, that's a 12 plus 2 is 14. So once again, we pass. We're able to open the door. So we can listen in a little bit more easily, which makes our listen roll, which will make our listen with a perception. Listen will use perception. We'll make that an average roll, since now we can hear the voices coming through more clearly. See if we can pick out what they're actually arguing about. Let's see, that's a 14 plus 2 is 16. So yes, we can hear what they're arguing about. So now we'll go back to the keywords table to see if we can get figure out what the... Oop, had a different note up there. So keywords. Back to rolling on the keywords table once again to see what we can hear them arguing about. 472. 472 invite. $650. Invite original. And a 64 hollow. Invite original hollow. So we might hear Adanna and Sabrina. I think we hear them arguing over some kind of invite to like a ball or something. So here, Adanna and Sabrina arguing over an invite and whether it's... So we hear them arguing about an invite to like a party of some kind or something. And whether it's original or not. As for the hollow, what do I want to do with hollow? Maybe they're checking out the delivery mechanism. Maybe it came in like a scroll case or something, and they're looking at the scroll case and they determine that the scroll case is hollow for whatever reason. But I'm not sure what I want to do with that. So it sounds like there's an invite of some kind. Maybe we've got some political intrigue. Actually, is the invite? Can we know we can hear? Do they talk about anything political? We'll go to the fate chart for this one. And actually, wait a second. That 93 would have been an exceptional no, but I'm not going to rewind that now. We're getting to a point where we need the story to move along. So is it political? Yes. There is political talk with the invite. So maybe it's like a mayor, or, well, I guess for lack of a better word, we'll go with like a mayor's ball or something in Amaranthine. And Adanna and Sabrina are wondering if that stray wolf that attacked the caravan was a one-off, or if there's maybe a colony of those. That might be worth investigating into. So I think the question, so it sounds like we've got a little bit of a direction here. So it looks like the mayor of Amaranthine is hosting some kind of a ball, some kind of party or something, where Adanna and Sabrina have been invited to it, but we need to figure out. Actually, that's a good question. How do I want to put this? So maybe that's something we check into, though, at that colony of wolves, to see if, okay, actually, that could be kind of a direction for the next time we bring this to the channel, is we go look for we go see if there's a colony of wolves. So maybe check into that. If there are other wolves around. But that at least gives me something to run with, because I came into this stream and I was like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the story next. But now I think I've got at least something resembling an idea of something I can work with next. So we'll check for wolves around. Then I think our next scene, so this will be scene 6. I think we'll move this to the next morning. Scene 6 will be essentially, well, I think the next thing I want to put to Mythic, I don't want to move the scene yet, is so now that we've got a little bit of information, now we should probably get some sleep, because Adanna's realizing she's had a long day. So she's going to try a dexterity check to see if she can close the door. Although, no, we're going to go with a dexterity check to try to close the door. We opened it at a challenging earlier, I think. Yep. So we'll try to close the door quietly. So we'll try to close the door quietly. We'll make that a challenging roll again. That's a 13, plus 2 is 15. And yeah, we'll pass the roll. We would have passed a hard roll. So we'll close the door and get some sleep. And then scene 6, which I think will be the next time we bring this to the channel. Well, assuming there's another time of this. So scene 6 will be in the morning. So we'll call it Morning Travels. Now that we've at least got a little bit of direction, I'm going to have to keep things, we're going to have to kind of move things along here tonight since it's fairly short, and I want to make sure I get tomorrow's block of 1985 and season ticket setup. So that's where we're going to call it a stream tonight. Sometimes, again, streams are going to be short like this, whether it's in something like a role-playing game or Meg 23 Guadalcanal, where I'm trying to get some ideas of, okay, how do I want to move the story along? So sometimes it's just a stream like that where I'm trying to figure out, okay, here's what I want to do next, because usually I'm not completely sure. Plus, I didn't want this to be a combat-heavy stream anyway, because Adanna took a lot of damage on that. But going into the next time we bring this to the channel, I will level Adanna up. I'm giving her her adventures so far will give her enough experience to level. And then we'll have a look at Adanna after she's leveled up. So that'll do it for this playthrough of Dragon Age tabletop role-playing game. Tomorrow we'll be back to 1985 season ticket baseball, as we'll be at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, for a National League West matchup. The Cincinnati Reds are fighting to get back into the NL West playoff picture, but they have to go through the San Francisco Giants to continue that on June 26, 1985. Mike Krukow will be going for the Giants, and Tom Browning will be going for the Reds. Saturday morning, I have decided what I'm going to do for Saturday. We're going to revisit 2011 Fall Classic Baseball. You may recall I tried to put Fall Classic on the channel during the advent of the Phoenix back in December, but that was a total disaster. So we're going to go back to Fall Classic. The reason I'm doing that is because Mystical Munchies this week is actually going to be a Sunday upload, as we have the dessert, Spider-Man's New York City Cheesecake. Before that, though, we'll be continuing the winter campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game, with the 4th scenario, On Thin Ice. Next week, I'm not sure what we'll be doing yet. We'll probably go ahead and attack my War Room 10-game list next week, but I haven't decided what game I'll do that with yet. I will know that by the time at least I go live with the winter campaign scenario on Sunday. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.